Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain, and today I'm going to be talking about Mars Colony, which is one of the hometown books for the Magical Kitties Save the Day role-playing game. Now, I've already reviewed the Magical Kitties Save the Day role-playing game. I'll put a link up top here where you can go check out the review to the game as a whole. And in that review, I talked about that in addition to the rule book, the game box came with one hometown book, which was River City. It was a fairly generic hometown, but it gave you a lot of cool information, a lot of NPCs and locations in that town, as well as some adventure hooks and one actual adventure. And I did say that also Atlas Games had sent me 3 other hometown books that they have released for the Magical Kitties Save the Day line. So this is the first one of them I'm going to be reviewing. It is the Mars Colony one. So big thank you to Atlas Games for sending me this copy of Mars Colony to review and check out. Before we get started, I want to say I've got a bunch of links down below that you can check out at your leisure. There's a link to BoardGameCaptain.com, which is a good hub for all things Board Game Captain. And if you're in a position to and would like to help out the channel, there's a link to my Patreon. And there's also a link to my Teespring store where you can get some Board Game Captain merchandise, some cool gamer gear, t-shirts and mugs, etc. All right, so Mars Colony, what is this? So this is a hometown book. So similar to the River City book that comes in the box set, this is a location. It's a setting book for a new setting for you to play in. And obviously by the name, the new setting is a colony on Mars. This is really kind of cool. It's a very interesting and creative idea to, instead of just do another hometown book that is another town somewhere else in the world or something like that, that they did such a different setting, especially in a time where we're really starting to talk about people being able to possibly, in the not too distant future, maybe travel to Mars. So this is your colonists on the first Martian colony, and your player characters will be playing the pet cats that have come along that, unbeknownst to the colonists, have magical powers, and of course will help them behind the scenes to save the day and save the colony on Mars. So, all right, when you open up this book, you've got the first section is, some general background information. You have the welcome to the Mars colony, Mars colony details about the colony, and then the Red Planet's past, where we talk about, in all of these areas, they talk about the various ins and outs of the colony on Mars and Mars itself, previous life forms that have lived on Mars, evidence you may come across of alien beings or magical creatures that used to, or in some cases there are remnants of, still living on Mars. Then there's a section on Martian water, which is a magical thing that can have an effect on your kitties. It's one of the unique items of the setting of Mars in the Magical Kitties universe, is that Martian water, being near Martian water, can make Magical Kitties' powers become stronger or go haywire, do weird sorts of things. So it is a very interesting element to play with. Then we have a big section on running a Mars colony. So they go into a lot of the nitty gritty of what goes into actually making the colony work, and the sort of things that would have to happen in different time periods during the creation and the development of the Mars colony. After this, we get into the sort of projects that the humans would be working on during the different time periods. So we have some twists that you can have in regard to what it's like to live in these tight quarters in a Martian colony, what the environment is like. Now, the project tiers, like I was talking about, so tier 1 projects are early projects that the colonists are going to be working on when the colony is new. So things like you have Solar Farm working on coming up with their own flag for the Martian colony, cafeteria decor, the first party that is thrown on Mars. Then tier 2 projects are after the colony's been going for a while. You have some more advanced things. So there is starting a new colony somewhere on Mars, building a colony hospital. Then there's some information on conflicts that may come up during this stage of development, as well as maybe the colonists decide they want to come up with their own Martian colony, like Founders Day. When they founded the colony, they want to make that a holiday or something like that. And also creating a colony shop. Then tier 3 projects are things like building a tram line, forming a Martian government, making a terraformed park on Mars, creating their own Martian sport, and creating an asteroid defense system. And then we've got tier 4 projects, which are creating the first skyscraper on Mars, making homes in the lava tubes beneath the surface of Mars, and creating a university on Mars, encouraging space tourism from Earth, coming to an accord with aliens on Mars. These things go on all the way up to tier 5. Lots of different things that the humans can be working on. But in all of these cases, these are kind of adventure hooks, because what happens is the humans are going to be working on these projects. They're going to be working on these things to develop their colony, further terraform and colonize Mars. But there are problems that are inherent in each of these possible developments, and the thing is, resources are tight, so behind the scenes, without the humans knowing it, your magical kitties are going to have to help the humans out and figure out ways to solve the problems, but also ways to solve the problems without them finding out about the fact that the kitties are magical. And that's a big part of how it plays out with the Martian colony. So next we have colony adventures, and a big part of the colony adventures has to do with double and triple trouble adventures, where you have multiple problems at once and you only really have enough time to fix one, maybe two of the problems. So there's always going to be one problem that, because you chose not to prioritize it, will get worse. It'll become a bigger problem next adventure, which is a very interesting thing, because dealing with such a tight and closed environment on an alien world where there is not a breathable atmosphere, many problems can pop up at once. It is realistic, and that is kind of cool. Then we have some human colonist problems, and a lot of them are problems that human colonists would face on Mars. Being homesick, getting cabin fever, being lonely, things like that. Once we get past all of these problems, which again are lots of hooks for more adventures and such, and I don't want to ruin too many of them, because you might actually wind up playing them. Then we go over the locations in the colony, as well as locations outside the colony, like areas of alien artifacts and things like that. So inside the colony, you have the cafeteria, crew quarters, the greenhouse, the infirmary, oxygen garden, the secret lab, things like that, school building, etc., etc. But outside, you have a construction site where they're working on things. You have an abandoned outpost. There is a cavern system with the lava tubes. There's alien sites where there are ancient alien artifacts and other things like that you could discover. I don't want to ruin too many of those. And then the next section is we're going to get into the supporting cast, some NPCs that you're going to have on Mars. Now, before I do that, I do want to show in the middle of this book the big fold-out map for the Martian colony, because this is awesome. And this is something that's going to be really cool that you'll be able to put out on the table for all your players to look at, because it is really, really well done. And it gives you, in addition to the general Martian surface, you have a close-up of the colony and a close-up of the cavern system beneath the surface. I really like the art style of this. This is a really, really cool thing to have in the middle of the book like they did. Now, so like I was saying, we're getting into NPCs. And with the NPCs, you have all of the various crew of the Martian colony, but there are also a few other animals. There's a very fun NPC that is a dog, and another one that is a goat that I am very fond of. The NPCs that are the humans are also available to possibly be your owner as the cat. You can pick one of them, or you could create your own if you choose. It gives you that option as well. And then we have new foes. There's a section in this book with some new bad guys that you can run into, which include robots and aliens, as well as other human colonists and other animals that you might run into. There's all sorts of interesting alien monsters, as well as alien beings, and even magical creatures from other dimensions that you can run into on Mars, which is fun. And then we have a big section on disasters, and this is where you can get in the really nail-biting, frightening areas where a disaster could possibly spell doom for the entire colony, and how will you deal with that? Finally, the last section of the book, we have the adventure. The magical kitties save the first colony base, where you guys arrive as part of a new group of colonists joining the first colonists who set up the very first couple of modules of the Martian base. And then the problems, when they get there, there's a lot of problems. The humans are nowhere to be found. A good portion of the base has been trashed. I'm not ruining anything by telling you this. You find this out in the first couple minutes of the game, and then you have to figure out what to do about it. And then there's some tips on some even more adventures and how to do it. Now, the book is only 35 pages long. This is a small, full color, but small little book that basically, I mean, you're going to buy this if you are a fan of Magical Kitties Save the Day and you are interested in playing in the setting of the Mars colony, you will be interested in buying this because this will provide you all the information you will need to the kind of issues and the kind of games you will play on the Mars colony. So now I like the idea of playing on Mars. I think it's a really cool idea to mix the fantasy with the sci-fi and play on a Martian colony. It's a really cool concept. I dig it. But my biggest negative to this is how tiny this book is. So I just want to draw a little attention to it. It's my one negative because I wanted more. I wanted more information. So now the hometown book in the main box is the same size. It is 35 pages, but in that box you also get the rule book and some other material. The rule book itself being over 60 pages, it's almost 65 pages, I think. So you have a lot more material in the main box. If you just get this, it seems a bit small. And also, the hometown book in the main game, the one for River City, it's a fairly standard, like, suburban town with a river running through it. It didn't need a whole lot of explanation to start with of what it's like living in that town. Most people understand that. So there's a lot of extra space taken up in this book by what it's like living on a Martian colony. And while that's really cool, I would have liked a little more material. So I do have that one downside. I would have liked this book to be a little bit longer. But what is in here is good, and it does give you enough to get going if you want to run a campaign on a Martian colony. So I do quite like it, and if you are as big of a Mars nut as I am, and you like the Magical Kitties Save the Day game, and you're thinking that it might be a cool idea to run a game on Mars, this might be for you. So I'm going to give the Mars Colony book for Magical Kitties Save the Day 7 out of 10 stars, and I would recommend it, again, specifically if you are have already purchased the Magical Kitties Save the Day game, and you're thinking about running a game on Mars. This is where you gotta go. So there you go. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, either on this video or on the Mars Colony book for Magical Kitties Save the Day, feel free to put them in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this review of a role-playing game product and you'd like to see me do more like it, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.